Okay, this is the retest of my client DH, we're calling her, after her 2 hour EE session. And there's a lot of fat in the blood because she had some tuna and other stuff with mayonnaise in it about 3 hours ago. So the fat, it would be cleared from the blood by now. So let's just take a closer look. So let's just actually scan at low magnification just so we can see. So the last time the rouleau, this is low magnification. Let's go. Let me go zoom up a little bit here. So her blood was about 70 to 80% rouleau stacked. And now you can see it's a lot less stacked, tightly packed. They're just a little touching the cells, but not, it's a difference.
Yeah, I
Just
don't
keep
know.
rolling through it. I just want you to see the whole thing. Here you got some waste particles, acid crystals. The major thing that's different is actually two things: is you got lots of fat in the blood because you ate, which is normal, and your cells are less sticky on balance. I mean, there's definitely more movement in the blood. See that? Which is kind of what I expected to see. That's what happened the last time I did this with a person. And you can see also there's some protoplast, leaky gut bowel toxins, which you had the last time too. Let's keep looking through here, leaky gut stuff. But as far as the cell, the sort of the life force in the blood, it's noticeably better. Now you can see some of those
cells, yeah, the ones with the
points. Yeah. And the reason is that when they were stacked up, that the points were there too, but you couldn't even see the points because the cells were stuck. So basically, there's more of a negative charge on the cell membranes, so the cells are floating, they're separating out more, and you can see some of the proteins stuck to them. So it kind of delivered. Let's see if there's something off on this. There we go. Yeah, so now you can see the protein spikes in the cells, but they're not in a packed like rouleau pattern like that.
Right.
So that is the major change. And then the other thing is, let's see if you had kind of a significant amount of that.
I just saw one of those stacked things. If you looked it up.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an aggregation of red blood cells. You have that still. You have some of those on the periphery of the slide there. So that hasn't broken up significantly, but the stacked cells have this. Look at the change in the energy in the cells. The blood is more like a river as opposed to like a stacked up swampy picture. And then we can see now also, so I'm going to record that the proteins are now apparent on the cell membranes. Okay, let's see. So this is the second, let's call it 8:29 p.m.
So what do you think I need to do about that?
The proteins of the cells?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is people don't digest protein that well. So I take, Zypan from Standard Process.
Zypan?
Yeah, Zypan.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
It's a Standard Process, HCl, pepsin. If I eat a heavy meat meal, or I go back and forth between that and then an herbal digestive support thing with, bile flow support and stimulation of hydrochloric acid. So I do I always take something to help me digest the food, and then I chew. I'm really I chew the food super thoroughly. So that's number one, is just chew the food, take some digestive support. And then number three would be what I do for myself, at least, is at night and in the morning, right before bed, when I wake up, I take a Vitalzyme X, proteolytic enzyme, just to go into the blood and digest any excess proteins floating around.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
and the fourth thing for you is that if you have leaky gut, which could be the cause of some of the proteins, you heal the leaky gut, which is, I mean, it's more complicated, but there's a lot of things to do. I think we've talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The different probiotics, collagen support stuff, the Zach Bush formula, you know, the ion biome for gut health. I'll write this down for you because I want to give you like a little protocol because the yeah, there's the good thing about looking at the blood is you can see like what protocols make a difference. And right now, I'd say your digestion is not optimal.
Right.
You have, after 3 hours, you got as much fat in your blood as you ideally would have after maybe an hour of eating. So I would, you know, you can get stuff at the store, but you can, I mean, Zypan is just a good, you do still have accounts with companies for when you're a doctor? Well, you didn't really practice functional medicine, right?
I did, yeah, but
well, either, you know, any of these lines, Standard Processor Biotics will have a digestive support formula. That would be the main thing I would do. So number one is, you know, HCl, pepsin, overall digestive support.
Yeah, I was taking for a while. I was taking bentane, HCl with pepsin, and I should go back to that. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's one thing that pretty much you could do. Chew thoroughly.
Well, I was eating rapidly in order to be able to get in the car to drive.
I know. I saw you in your car. I figure you're eating in your car, so that's not the best. But that's just, you know, that's the reality.
That's just the reality of today.
And then there's, you know, obviously the other thing I do a lot with meals is I drink like a cup of peppermint tea or something with as many meals as I can.
Oh, peppermint tea.
Oh yeah, If I have anything warm, I have peppermint or ginger tea. That's the best. So herbal support for digestion. I'm writing this down for you. Herbal support. Peppermint.
Oh, could I have some more water too?
Yes, I'll get that for you in a second here. Yeah.
Need to...
Ginger. And then there's empty proteolytic enzymes on empty stomach will clean up some of the surplus proteins.
What do you think about like nattokinase?
Yeah, nattokinase, serrapeptase.
Okay.
You know, so the one I use is Vitalzyme, but there's others like Wobenzyme, Vitalzyme, you know, Wobenzyme. There's Intenzyme Forte from Biotics. Proteolytic enzymes on empty stomach. So everything comes down to breaking things down. It's all about breaking down big things into little things. Let me give you a glass of water. This is this is a product I got from a company called Life Spa, which is a herbal digestive support. This is great. You can get that from the companies in Colorado. It's one of the best ones I've ever used. It's got all the Ayurvedic herbs for digestion. You take 1 or 2 per meal. And you know, if you really want to clean up the undigested proteins, you probably do the HCl for a while, and then ultimately try to transition more to that, because then you don't. This way, this will take over your body's The HCl will sort of substitute for your body's own production of HCl. This will help over time rebuild your body's capacity to produce HCl.
Okay.
So this is one of the best herbal products. So back to describing DH's blood, the stacked up cells are significantly improved. It's down from a 4 to like a 1. Let's see what else we got here. Let's just go a little higher up here. This is a tighter look at 40x. These cells look good. The major thing is they got the fat in the background. So the other thing is probably you would probably do well with something that, some lipotropic formula for fat digestion, lipase. And even these herbal formulas will help support the bile flow too. So that's the good thing about the herbal formulas. You don't need to do multiple enzymes. But yeah, these cells look good. There's a few nicked up ones. But you can, it's apparent to me the difference in the stacked cells is really reduced. Mm-hmm. So that's just the whole claim of the EE system is that it increases the voltage of your cells. And one of the measurements in the live blood of voltage is whether your cells are stuck together or separate.
Right.
Because the charge on the cells is the voltage of the cells.
Right.
So there's a way to measure voltage directly, which I got to get some device to do that. I don't have that yet, but I'm going to look into that. But as far as the blood goes, it's definitely increased the voltage.
Do we have any idea how long that lasts for?
No, that is another question. Like, what would happen tomorrow? Look at your blood, would it still be? I don't know. The person I did the last time, I could do it for myself, I suppose. I should probably keep looking at myself. But my blood is rarely sticky.
Oh, uh-huh.
If it's really sticky, I could mess it up kind of and go back and see how long it takes to fix. But no, I don't know. I think probably what happens is like everything. So my view about the EE system is that it's obviously exposing a person to an energy field that is beneficial to health, but that we have to do other things when we're not doing that to maintain that. So the list of things I've listed that I know are helpful are earthing for sure, light for sure, that for the mitochondria is going to help, a type of some exercise, some movement, walking, yoga, any type of workout. I think Qigong, I know Qigong makes a difference because I've looked at my blood before and after Qigong many times. And after a round of Qigong, it's just flowing like crazy. So somehow that life force is being pulled in, how it does, it's a mystery, but I've seen that happen. So my protocol is like try to get a few EE sessions in, do Qigong and earthing every day, get light every day, get live food every day, juices, sprouts, something that has some enzymes in it, fermented foods. There's other technologies like portable things I use to different things like with scalar energy lasers and things like that. So there's you could put together a program for, a person where they would just be consistently saturated with these frequencies. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. The Schumann resonance is just the earth, just being connected to the earth. If we lived in nature, we wouldn't need this, If we lived in teepees and wore moccasins, and weren't in front of computers all day long, didn't have, lights all night long, blaring their eyes. If we got into a natural cycle, I think we wouldn't need any of these things. Yeah. But that's the difficulty. Now here we can look at, again, I wanted to show you this before a little bit. These are red cells. These are obviously not big enough to be red cells. So the question is, what are they? These are the
pleomorphic.
Yes, those are the incubators that hatch the pleomorphic bacteria. So those bacteria you saw swimming around last time are coming out of these things. Mm-hmm. So interesting, like we don't have a lot. I could crush the cells now again too and see what happens. But my guess is there's been some shift already just from the EE session where the terrain, you're going to have less bacteria floating around. They're just this blood sample is not going to have as much.
What happens to them?
They probably just get the actually. You know what the actually happens is they morph into higher levels and they go back to. They literally are going back and forth. That is the cycle.
You mean they can regress back to an earlier form?
That is what people say. Yeah. They go back and forth. They're just reflecting the terrain, literally reflecting the terrain. So that's what pleomorphism is.
Right.
So you just look up Enderlein and these guys, and they say this is the theory, at least. And I've seen blood before where you see blood that's toxic. Obviously, you see tons of bacteria floating around. Then you clean up the person's blood, and then where'd they go? They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to them? I don't know for sure, but the theory is that they can go back. It's a cycle. It's cyclical.
So, is there any way to get rid of them, or?
You don't want to. They're part of your natural terrain. It's like fungus is the same thing. It's like people think, how do I get rid of fungus or parasites? Well, you don't want to. You want them in a sort of latent state. That's how our bodies, again, from the terrain theory, that's how we regenerate. And this is, I could give like this thing that I did with Janet Ruger with the raw meat thing. Sorry. Most people would just completely go like, there's no way in a million years I'm going to eat meat that has bacteria in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to kill me. And it's like, well, don't, and so they eat things that are cooked a lot and they slowly decline as a general rule. So the raw meat has bacteria in it, but is that bad for you? The guy that taught me about the raw meat, I don't know if I mentioned to his name. I met him in 2002, I think, in Chicago. I worked at Mercola. He's passing through town. His name is Agnes von der Planets. Really strange fellow, but unbelievable, man. He was the healthiest guy I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. Just radiant guy. He's in his mid-50s then. He had absolutely beautiful hair, skin, his eyes. He was solid as a rock. And all he did was eat raw food. That's it. Didn't recommend supplements, nothing else. And I said, okay, let's check him out. So Mercola and I went to see him, and he did an iridology and said, oh, listen, you guys are going to get cancer and you're going to do this, eat raw food, that was his whole thing. So he said, well, what the hell, let's try this. So I started doing it because at the time I was 41 and my hormones were going down. I was losing my sexual potency. I was like, shit, this is not good. I'm 41 only. So he said, don't take DHEA, don't do anything, just eat raw meat and you'll be fine. And what do you know? He was right. In 1 month, I gained over 2 months, I probably gained 15 pounds of muscle. 2 or 3 months, very fast. Just ate raw meat, nothing but raw meat and juices and stuff like that, raw eggs, He said, just try it. Just tell me if I'm wrong. So the reason he says is that the bacteria they decompose the dead or dying tissues to help regenerate your body faster. That's all they're doing. And viruses are a backup to bacteria. If you don't have enough bacteria, your body produces exosomes to clean out and sort of regenerate your body. That's all viruses are. You're not catching it from outside, you're generating it from inside. This was this guy, von der Planet's theory. And I didn't know. I just tried it, and he was right. And we had a handful of patients that we would recommend this to that were not going to flip out or report Mercola to his licensing board. And they did it, and they, serious conditions, MS, cancer, serious conditions. And everyone that stuck with it had regenerative response. And Janet is one of the few people here I'd mentioned to, and she did it.
Yeah.
No, almost nobody else would even, I rarely mention it because I don't want people to just,
Yeah, I eat my hamburgers practically raw, but I sear the,
That's close. That's good.
But that's
and
it's
eggs,
red in the
exact red and eggs raw. We would put every patient had raw milk and a raw egg in it. Boom, stir it up, drink it. And the women that were going through menopause, their symptoms start to regulate. It's amazing. I said, forget the hormone stuff. Eat raw fat.
But where do you get raw milk?
I get it from. We have a friend that is a sort of a collector of some farmer that drops it off at his house. Michael King, Michael King. Vitality Herbs and Clay.
Oh, Michael! I think that's who Janet got her meat from, isn't it? Or
yeah, Janet gets stuff from Michael King, and so the bottom line is that bacteria are not the enemy. So the pleomorphic stuff doesn't should not be a problem. It's all just doing its job.
I see.
The bigger thing is, are you toxic, or just are you, basically, are you toxic? That's the number one thing. And the answer is yes for everybody. And you can see your gallbladder, liver function is a little sluggish. Otherwise, you wouldn't have so much fat in your blood after 3 hours. That's the biggest thing. So flushing your gallbladder and liver out and digesting better. So either take more enzymes or herb support, or eat your food as raw as you can eat it, and you won't need that. Let me see what else. But overall, I can tell you your blood is way less sticky. Mm-hmm. Way less sticky. And now the other thing that I see, okay, here, let me show you one other thing that's interesting that I saw in this other woman. I did her before and after. So you can see in the background here, these are platelets that are being activated. See these like grayish clouds? So this is a large platelet here, this big here. So platelets are activated when toxins are showing up in the blood. And they get activated to sponge up the toxins. So the first person I saw, the before and after the EE system, her blood was flowing way better, and she had lots of platelets that she didn't have in the first sample. Because I think what's happening too is the tissues are dumping toxins out faster than you can eliminate them. And the platelets are being activated to sort of absorb them so they don't recycle.
And then what do the platelets do with the toxins?
Well, then the liver is processing the blood. So the liver starts to break it down and try to flush it out. So all you have to do is basically, everything is just breaking down bigger things into small things. So what I would do is also take those enzymes on an empty stomach will break down the toxins in the platelets. They'll chew them up into smaller pieces.
Oh, you mean the digestive enzymes take those?
Proteolytic enzymes on an empty stomach, like Vitalzyme, You take that on an empty stomach, and then it goes in the blood and breaks down the bigger clumps of toxins and crystals and waste and platelets into smaller things so your liver can filter it easier. It's like if you have lots of particulate matter in the air and you have an air filter and your filter's a little clogged, it's going to be harder to break it down. But if the the particulate matter is smaller, it's easier to filter. So it's just, and then also your skin. Your skin is a big organ that if you start to dump stuff out through your skin, it'll also take a burden off your liver. So a sauna or a bath, a salt bath, that's why they recommend it with the E system, because your body is dumping toxins, which are showing up as these platelets. And then you start to sweat or do a bath to pull things through your skin. Then flush your liver a bit, do a beet juice or something and just flush your liver a bit to push this shit out. And then they'll clear it up. And then and then the next round, the same thing. So we're like walking, we've got so many toxins stored in us. But we're storing it in fatty tissue, our bones, wherever we can get it out of protecting our vital organs. We're trying to store toxins elsewhere. And that's, and this guy Vonderplant used to say, we want extra fat on our body. He said, everybody should have an extra 5 or 10 pounds. He said, because that's storage for toxins that you can't get out yet. Healthy fat, not from eating sugar, but eating fat. Like lots of fat he would have people eat. And you had, gain a little weight. So that's like an extra garage. You can stuff in until you're ready to dump it out. And that's the theory that I saw the most effective with patients with serious illnesses. So yeah, you can see the points on some of these cells. But now that the cells are not as stacked up, you can see their condition. And these are some cells that have been nicked up by, probably EMF, electromagnetic radiation, because that's the appearance they have. See all these weird shaped cells? So EMFs create this sort of bizarre shape in the membrane, whereas chemicals are sort of like just a little bottle cap, kind of crinkly. But EMFs do some more damage to the fats. That's why to have healthy, quality saturated fat with lots of vitamin E protects the cell membranes from being damaged. That's why all, butter, eggs, things like that, lots of dense saturated fat with vitamin E in it is protecting those cell membranes. Okay, what else do we go? Let's get back down here. And the other thing that you had in your blood the first time was those red crystals were leaky gut stuff, and there's a big one. So leaky gut thing hasn't changed. That's, which I didn't think it would. But let's just record that. So you have a little bit, of leaky gut, which is not uncommon. So I'm going to record, first of all, circulation, significantly better. Aggregations, you still get those. Leaky gut, you got some of that. So I'm going to give you also some leaky gut advice. Heal leaky gut. This is like pretty much the top of the line things that you have to do. Number one, I think that product from Zach Bush, Ion Biome, is the only thing that I've ever seen that really effectively repairs the tight junctions in the gut. The tight junctions in the gut, or they sort of open up and they get wounded and damaged from stuff.
Right,
so this it's a mineral formula, actually. It's a cell signaling formula, they call it, that signals it's sort of a regulator of your gut bacteria, and it works. I mean, it's a leak. You do that, and not everybody. I'd say like 8 or 9 out of 10 people will repair their leaky gut, and this you can get.
Oh, really?
This you can get at a shopping cart. I think they have it.
Oh, really? Okay.
As directed. Just if you want to fix a leaky gut, do that. Second is bone broth with ghee or butter in it. The butyric acid will help repair the gut, and the bone broth, the collagen, or raw butter. Those, and then cultured foods, probiotics, cultured foods.
Does it matter if Richard bought some bone broth for me that's powder form that you add water to. Is that okay, or is that not as good?
I would get, if you don't make your own, I get frozen, bone broth in the frozen section to Co-op.
Okay.
Really good. I mean, they got chicken, lamb, beef, whatever you want. And I just get that, drink that a cup every day. Okay. If I had leaky gut, I'd drink it twice a day, probably for, a couple weeks.
Okay.
And the Ion Biome and, live culture yogurt and all that stuff is all fixable. But this is what happens. Like this, the reason why there's so many kids that have, attention deficit disorders, they have leaky gut, big time. I've seen kids like 50 of these in drop of their blood. Oh, and they're poisoning themselves. Their guts are leaking chemicals and toxins into their blood, which gets into their nervous system. So that's, I would say, 9 out of 10 of the ADD stuff for kids is leaky gut, and then computer stuff and all this other crap they're on. And you can fix it. Mm-hmm. So it's one of the best things you can do is just learn the leaky gut repair protocol and just, stick with it, or when you come and see me, I can just, show you again if it's there. But here you can see here we got now you can see the EMF damage. Now the cells are not stacked up. You can see them. So when they're stacked up, the protein linkage and the EMF damage is still there, but you can't tell because the cells are like rolled up. So now they're separate because there's a charge in the blood. And you go, oh, okay, the cells are not as stacked up. That's good. But now you can see they're still damaged by, EMF. So that's the other big thing that we're looking at. What to do to correct this. And that's if you could live in an EE system, that would correct it. But short of that, I'm looking for remedies. There's a company I came across, which you might want to look into, called Energy Tools International. Mm-hmm. It's in Central Point. And I think you would love these guys because they were founded by Yuri Kron. I don't know if you've heard of Yuri Kron. He's a physicist, Russian physicist. Mm-hmm. So the owner is a friend of mine, Ken Brown. But it's Energy Tools International. And they have EMF protection technology that they tested, actually. They tested brain, the brain activity, EEGs and stuff to see what happens to a person's brain on a cell phone. Then they put a protective device on with frequencies in it. and it doesn't block the EMFs. It just sort of recalibrates your brain back to normal, so it's not affected. So that's my latest thing. Energy Tools International. And the Yuri Krohn wrote a book called The Science of Subtle Energy, which was the thing. I didn't even know that company was in town in the area.
That's amazing.
I know. I've been here for 17 years, and I've known Ken for about 15 of them. But he has like 5 businesses. He owns a construction company, he owns a sprouting company, and all of a sudden he inherited this company from Yuri Krohn, who died. And he's all of a sudden, so I go, wow, this book is. So I read that book, The Science of Subtle Energy, which was like, this was powerful. Science of Subtle Energy.
Yeah, write all that down.
Yeah, you're gonna love this because I know we're on the same page, and this is local. And they have other products too. They have infused frequencies in structured water, but their EMF stuff I'm most interested in. And I'm testing it out with clients right now, myself and about 5 or 6 people. So you can always test it out and see, but at least they have some studies that verify that it's working, whereas most places have no studies. They're just using testimonials or their own theories. But and this is science. This is a physicist, a guy that was a renowned Russian physicist that developed this. That I think is the book got me thinking this guy might be onto something more than just some new agey thing.
Take a look at that.
Yeah. Dr. Yuri Krohn. I'll write his name down here. Yeah, bring that up only because this is the EMF condition.
And is the technology that blocks the EMF is something you wear, or
it doesn't block it? It's on your phone.
This is just on your phone. Oh, okay.
Or it's on my router.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's all over the place now. In my bedroom, I put some of these stickers on my bed frame, just to check it out.
I see.
So okay. Again, if I wasn't persuaded by the guy's book, and in fact, my friend now is the owner of this, and he's told me many cases, and I've tested some other products out with clients of mine. They have a product for people that have they're not balanced. They're falling over. They have they're just vertigo. My mother had vertigo, and I gave her the bottle for the remedy for balance. She took one dose, and she didn't have vertigo. And I said, and then she stopped it for a while. Then it came back. She took it again. No vertigo. I said, holy moly, this is like fast. And then I have other clients with different things. So their products they're effective. I'm convinced they're effective. And they're subtle energy. They're just frequencies embedded into structured water. And how that works is it's probably communicating with our subtle energy body and correcting the biochemical imbalances at that level. And that's stabilizing whatever system they're working on. And I think it's worth, for someone, especially with your background, it's worth looking into in relation to the EMF, because you got plenty of that. Like all that over there, you can see now.
So not as much as a lot of people, I wouldn't think.
No, it's all relative. It's like like I said, the sad news is that everybody has this. It wasn't that way 20 years ago.
Right.
Now I've seen samples of blood with half their cells with EMF damage.
Yeah.
Like, so how can they function? I had a guy come in, and I looked, he was falling asleep on my chair, and he's just like dead. And I looked at him, I said, whoa, man, what did you get? X-rays or what? Were you hanging out in a nuclear reactor or something? He's like, no. I said, well, what's going on? He said, well, he's an elderly guy. I said, well, I got a laptop recently. I said, okay, what are you doing with it? Well, I put it on my lap and I watch a movie every night. I said, your laptop on your lap? He said, yeah. So stop doing that, And so he stopped doing that, and he took some kelp and a few things. In 2 months, that was down to like what yours is, kind of like normal. But he was literally destroying his cells from the radiation from his laptop. So that was the answer to his, and he didn't know he was going to doctors.
Yeah, they should have never named them laptops.
They should have never.
Makes people think that you can have them on your lap.
Exactly. He thought he could put on his lap, and nobody knew what was wrong with them. And this is the thing about the microscope that's so cool, is that one, you call it a diagnosis, or, like, hey, you've got radiation damage. And he's like, it turned his life around. But yours is like kind of normal, just a little bit here and there.
Yeah, because I'm not one of these people who spends a lot of time on my phone, or
No,
I have to be in front of the computer,
like
unfortunately. But
I know, likewise.
but
Well, someday you take a check. You go on a vacation somewhere where you have no technology for a week and look at your blood and you come back, or 2 weeks. It's a huge. I did this once. I went away for. I didn't touch. I just swim in the ocean, reading books, going out to movies. Didn't even eat well. I ate like as my dad in Puerto Rico. We had beer almost every night. Looked at my blood when I came back. Perfect. It was beautiful. I said, "Wow, man, being away and swimming in the ocean alone every day, and not working for a month, which
I'm gonna imagine. Blood, yeah, I bet my blood will look a lot better too.
No work and swim in the ocean regularly, and eat so. Your blood look better than eating perfect, taking all the supplements in the world, and being stressed out. I experienced this myself.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
So I'm just waiting to get to the point where I can take a break from this business that we're starting here, so I can take a vacation for the first time in some years. But then I just want you to see, for your knowledge, this is what EMFs do to the blood.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay, and that's what we didn't see because the cells are too stacked up to even evaluate them. And these are the little incubators of the little pleomorphic critters that are nothing. No, you can't get rid of them. You don't want to. You don't want them big, swimming through your blood, destroying your body. That's all you don't want. Otherwise, they have a place. Anyway, that's cool. Now your dry blood. I videotaped your dry blood too. I'm going to do your dry blood now here. And I saw the dry blood, your first sample. I don't think it's going to be a big change. It shouldn't change much. It changed slower than the live blood, that's for sure. But it showed that there's definitely a sort of depletion pattern, which is, I'll see if it's here again. It should be.
This is the old one.
This is the new one.
Oh,
the old one I videotaped.
Okay, so you're going to show me that after you show me the new one, or?
Yeah, I can show it to you. We pull up the video, yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm going to dark bright field. Yep, it's going to be the same thing. So here we go. Let me zoom out a bit. It'll probably just look similar because the dry blood is not going to change over. Zoom out. Okay, so the dry blood, let me show you what the ideal dry blood looks like. It should look like that.
Right.
Red with a web that's connected like a little road. Mm-hmm. And yours it sort of starts and stops, you see? It doesn't connect. Mm-hmm. Here it's like broken. So that broken web indicates poor protein assimilation, which is what your blood has, lots of undigested proteins. And the faded, see how it's not red, it's kind of pinkish, is related to
oxidative stress or
fungal profile.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So even though there's no dead fungus in your blood, it's both fungal profile or anemia. It's one of those two, but it's probably.
I oftentimes have been anemic in my life.
It could be that because you see how it's not red at all. It's orange.
Yeah, I've been anemic in my life. Yeah, my brother's anemic too. So.
Yeah. So the good news, though, too, interestingly, you don't have lots of toxins in the blood. Like a lot of people, their dry blood looks like this. There's crystals everywhere, and you don't have that. You have just sort of like a little spattering of them.
Show me a crystal.
Well, it would be like these. See these white?
Yeah.
Yeah, those things. See that?
Yeah.
And this is like a severe stress. They call it stress pattern. Mm-hmm. Systemic stress. It's really systemic oxidative stress, and yours is is relatively low compared to the average person. But your fibrin, the protein assimilation is poor. Mm-hmm. So you're not. So this is you're the type of person who would benefit from eating raw meat. Think of it. You'd build up your blood, and you'd digest the protein because it's got enzymes, and you'd chew the heck out of it, and then take some pepsin or HCl or whatever, and then just digest it, and this would build your blood back up for sure. Yeah, that's essentially it. That's the same as your previous one, the earlier, which would makes sense. It wouldn't have changed.